So, hi there again, everyone. So, this will be the chapter 1 of CS126-8, C++ programming, an overview of computers and programming languages. Okay. So, in this chapter, we're going to learn about different types of computers, and we're going to discuss and explore the different types of hardware and software components of the computer system. We're going to learn about also the language of computer and how the evolution of programming languages occurs and what are those high-level programming languages. And then we're going to discuss all about what is a compiler and what it does. And we're going to have an example of C++ program and how C++ program is processed. Then we're going to learn what is an algorithm, and we're going to explore some problem-solving techniques dealing with algorithms such as flowchart and pseudocodes. So if in case that I won't be able to give you examples here in online, so by next meeting, I'll be giving you an example of what is an algorithm in those examples of flowchart and pseudocodes. Then we're going to become aware of what is the design of a structured programming and the difference between a structured programming design to object-oriented design programming. Okay. Then we're going to discuss also the standard C++ and the ANSI ISO standard C++. ANSI stands for American National Standard Institute, while ISO is International Standard Organization. Okay, so without software, the computer is useless. Software developed with programming languages. So what are those programming languages? Example of programming languages is actually C++. Other than C++, we have still different types of programming languages. Those are very well known are Java, for example, and then the Visual Studio C Sharp, okay, and low-level languages such as assembly language are also examples of programming languages. So for C++, it is actually the foundation of all programming, and this is suited for a wide variety of programming tasks. So before the programming, it is useful to understand all those terminology first of the computer system components. So let's have a brief overview of what is actually the history of computer evolutions. Okay, so generation 1 is actually the early calculation devices such as abacus, pascaline, Leibniz device, the Babbage machines, which are the difference in the analytical engines, and Hollerith machines. For computer-like machines, early computer-like machines, we have the Mark I, the ENIAC, the von Neumann architecture, the UNIVAC, the transistor, and microprocessors. Now, for the categories of computers, these are the categories of the computers, namely the mainframe computers, the mid-sized computers, and microcomputers, which is what we call the personal computers or the one who actually we use at home. What are the elements of the computer system? So the elements of the computer systems are the hardware, the CPU or the central processing unit, the main memory, the secondary storage, the input and output devices, and of course, software. So let's take a look at first and discuss first hardware. So for the hardware, we have the central processing unit, and of course, including the primary or the main memory, which is actually also called as RAM or random access memory, and of course, hardware such as the input and output devices, as well as the secondary storage. So for the CPU and the main memory or the central processing unit, of course, we know that the central processing unit is the brain of all the computer system unit. And this is actually the most expensive piece of hardware included in the system unit. And central processing unit is actually carries out arithmetic and logical operations. So this is actually the components of the computer and the main memory. So inside the motherboard, for example, we have included the central processing unit or the CPU. So it directly communicated and connected with the main memory as well as into secondary storage. So what we are actually inputted from the input device will be actually uh, goes to the central processing unit and process it. Okay, and then after it process, it will be temporarily stored in the main memory, and we can actually get the output from the output device. Okay. So RAM is stands for random access memory. So this is actually, as mentioned a while ago, directly connected or directly communicated with the central processing unit. And all programs must be loaded into main memory before they can be executed. But again, this is actually a volatile memory, meaning when you loaded the programs on that particular memory, when you turned off the computer, the documents or all the programs loaded into the main memory is automatically deleted. All data must be brought into main memory before it can be manipulated, and when the computer is turned off, as mentioned a while ago, everything in the main memory is lost or deleted. So after the primary memory or the main memory, we have also what we call the secondary storage. So this storage are the devices that stores information permanently. So what are the examples of the secondary storage? These are the hard disk, the flash drives, floppy disk, zip disk, CD-ROMs, and tape drives. So for the input-output devices, these are just some of the examples of the input and output devices. Input devices feed data and programs into computers. So what are those examples of input devices? These are the keyboard, the mouse, and of course, secondary storage is also considered as an input device. And then for the output device, it's also display results. Okay, so that means we can actually use displaying the results with the monitor and with the printer, as well as, of course, if we want to retrieve the data or the file, we can also get it from the secondary storage. Now, without hardware, without people there, and of course without software, computer is nothing. So when we say software, software programs is a program that do specific tasks. When you say system programs, it takes control of the computer, such as the operating system. So there are actually two types of software: the system software and the application software, or we call it the system program or the application program. So the system program takes control of the computer. So when you say it takes the control of the computer, it controls the peripheral devices connected in our computer system unit. So how we control the computer? We use an operating system. So after the system programs, we have the application program or the application software. Application software performs a specific task. Let's say, for example, we want to do documentation or research. We use word processor. If, for example, we want to create a record, or if, for example, we want to create a simple database or simple calculations using different types of operations and conditional formatting, we can use also spreadsheets. And of course, games is an example of an application program.